Hi, and welcome to Crime Headlines. My name is Jojo, and I'm your host. Crime Headline takes stories right from your local headlines across the country. These stories can be on anything from kidnapping to murder and anything in between. This edition covers the case of Richard and Helle Crafts from 1986, and is commonly called the Connecticut Woodchipper Murder. It is the world's first case solved solely on DNA, as there was no physical body. And here we go. Newtown, Connecticut. It was the perfect crime. A missing woman, her husband the main suspect in her disappearance, but no body. To say police were at a loss was an understatement. On November 18, 1986, Pan American flight attendant Helle Crafts had arrived home after a flight from Frankfurt, Germany. She'd been dropped off at her home at 5 Newfield Lane in Newtown. She is never seen nor heard from again. It is suspected that on the night she arrived home, Helle Crafts, with her children fast asleep, is struck violently in the head by her husband Richard. Before she can even scream, she loses consciousness and Richard watches her die on their bedroom floor. He then places her body in a freezer he had purchased. Early in the morning on November 21st, 1986, Richard Crafts takes Helle's body to the edge of Lake Zor. He dismembers her body with a chainsaw he had purchased from a hardware store. He then feeds both pieces of Helle's body as well as pieces of wood through a wood chipper he has rented and blows the pieces into Lake Zor. Unknown to anyone, 2.5 months before going missing, Helle had hired Keith Mayo, a former New Milford police officer turned private investigator, to see if her husband had been having an affair. After finding some strange phone numbers, one of those numbers came back to a woman in New Jersey. Mayo confirms the affair and had informed Helle prior to her disappearing. Helle Crafts had informed Keith Mayo that Richard was capable of extreme violence and that if she should go missing, it would most likely be because Richard had killed her. Mayo approaches the Newtown Police Department with his suspicions. However, because of Richard's position as an auxiliary police officer, the department blows Mayo off. So Mayo then approaches the Connecticut State Police. After Mayo advises state authorities of Richard's temper, his spending habits, and physical abuse of Helle, as well as his infidelity, along with a warning from Helle herself before going missing. If anything ever happens, don't assume it was an accident. Police then open an investigation. Richard is brought in for questioning. He denies any wrongdoing and advises police that Helle had gotten into an argument with him and left, returning to Denmark to stay with her mother. Nobody buys this story. However, with no further proof, the investigation stalled. Then, 6 weeks later comes the break they need. An eyewitness, a snowplow driver, remembered seeing a man operating a wood chipper in the middle of a snowstorm on the edge of Lake Zor. The man remembers the man operating the wood chipper waving him off, but more importantly, the plow driver remembers the wood chipper operator wearing a hat similar to that of a Mountie, the same type of hat Crafts would have worn while working as an auxiliary police officer. Police descend on the wooded area. In total, 2,660 hairs matching Helle's were found there, as well as fabric shreds later identified as belonging to Helle's favorite nightgown and a fingernail belonging to her. This fingernail was covered in the same pink nail polish which matched what was worn by Helle as well. Dr. Henry Lee determines the blood to be type O, which is a match to Helle as well. A chainsaw purchased by Richard was found in the lake, and police obtained a receipt for the truck rented to tow the wood chipper as well. Richard Crafts was then taken into custody and arrested on January 13, 1987. This was the first case not only in Connecticut but in the world which was conducted in which prosecutors did not have a body. Crafts' first trial ends with a mistrial because one juror just could not vote to convict. The state retries the case, and on November 21st, 1989, Crafts is found guilty of murder and sentenced to 50 years. The case was prosecuted by state's attorney Walter Flanagan. The jury reaches his verdict in just 8 hours. Jury members state that while there was indeed no body, the massive totality of evidence as well as Richard Crafts' treachery is the reason for their findings. Flanagan retires in 2007. Keith Mayo, the private investigator who broke the case, passes away in an automobile crash in Florida in 1999. Richard Crafts, Connecticut inmate number 152724, is currently still in custody at the Willard Cybulski Correctional Institute in Enfield, Connecticut. His release date is in December of 2020. He is currently 81 years old. So that's it for this installment of Crime Headlines. My name is Jojo, and I'll be seeing you soon.